So I have to do this because I have 2 small children and they're gonna ask me what I was doing, so. Say cheese? Or make a silly face? Nobody's forgotten how to be children. Okay, so, well, thank you so much for coming. I'm going to read some poems from this book, and then I'll read some new poems. So I find poetry to be very difficult to write, and this poem is called Ars Poetica as Bird Feeder and Hummingbird. All winter I watched the empty feeder and the godlight pummel its stained glass in a sieve. No hummingbirds, no humorous little body with a tent stake as a nose. Look, little bird, how do you know? How do you know your brilliance is what I seek? The way you lance a honeysuckle's heart, take the blood in your bill. I wish I knew how to punch a center, inch in and in, lance something to death that flowers and flowers light. You and your array of vibrating attire. I am not a weed. I need your praise to survive. The field will consume me. The field has chosen sides. The field is not hungry for the middling. How I hate the field and what it sees, its teeth digging out the ochre of mediocre. What's left but medi, a non, a nothing, no one. Oh, tiny bird, medicate me, convulse me, punch holes in me so some of my light leaks out. It's funny, I used to plan which poems that I would read. And these are probably like 6 years old, and I haven't, I guess as you get older, you don't plan anymore. I don't know. So I'm gonna read another Ars Poetica. Ars Poetica is corporation and canary. Now I see the thin body of glass, the corpus for what it is, a breathing corpse, as the moon confesses light from the sun, but can never truly have it. I am a corporation, a for-profit stock one, a stout fist on a table. I want to generate something, but I don't want to spend anything. I have read, understood, and disagree with everything, but I'm authorized to execute on nothing. I've received a copy of this agreement in the rain. The rain is always looking for a way into my mouth. My body holds pushpins. This one is yellow, this one red. They tack memorandums to my skin that cover my sores, that cover the canaries that lie beneath, little birds that fly into the window, fly farther and fluster, that fly back into the window. The window clarifies. The building bunts the birds. The building envelops the birds. The window loves me. I love the building. I loathe the building. The building is a headquarters that holds me, that I return to, that I report to, and I can't see myself on the glass until it's too late. I really liked Bridget P. Jean Kelly's book, Song, and she had a bird in every single poem. And when I was reading that book, I was writing this manuscript, and so I think I have a lot of birds in this manuscript as well. I'll read one more from this book. And when I was writing this book, there's a section in here all about kind of working and all of that. And at that time was when a guy from Enron named Clifford Baxter had committed suicide. And for whatever reason, when corporate people commit suicide, I become weirdly obsessed with it. So I started kind of looking for everything. I found a suicide note and decided to write a poem in anagrams based on his note. And his wife's name was Carol. And so I'll just kind of emphasize the italics, and I just kind of mix up all the words for fun. It's called Anagrams of Clifford Baxter's Suicide Note. If he says, I am sorry, then why do the words so easily become, am I sorry? And how I can't go on so simply turns into a con got in, or contagion, a disease that spreads and spreads across the garden, among the dead bones, into any body with cells. He writes he has always tried to do the right thing. Then why does it become dig, then high trot, somewhere between a walk and a run? Who says one foot must always be on this earth? When trotting fast, hunting something, or being hunted, all feet are momentarily off the ground at once, like a star. He must have tried to make things right, but just got tired. In the end, Carol might turn into coral, the pink kind under the sea, the kind that holds its shape in any tide. In the end, cliff just turns into cliff, a high, steep, or overhanging face of any rock. It's not October, no, it's November. Okay, I won't read that. So I'll read a few poems here from a new manuscript I'm working on. I just found out this manuscript is actually going to be published soon, so by McSweeney's, their new poetry series, so it's going to see the light at some point, which is good and scary. So these poems, none of them have any punctuation, so I'm just going to try and read it like that. But a lot of them is based on sort of my dad and having had a stroke and combined with a general sort of loss of control and power, and none of them have any titles. So, I once was a child, am someone's child, not my mother's, not my father's. The boss gave us special treatment for something special, a lollipop or a sticker, glitter from the toy box. The better we did, the better the plastic prize made in China. One year, everyone got a spinning top. One year, everyone got a tap on their shoulders. One year, everyone was fired. Everyone fired but me. One year, we all lost our words. One year, my father lost his words to a stroke of bad luck, stuck his words, used to be so many. His words fired him, let him go without notice. Can they do that? Can she do that? Yes, she can. In this land, she can. Once we sang songs around a piano. This land is your land. This land is my land. Someone always owns the land in this land. Someone who owns the land owns the buildings on the land, owns the people and the buildings, unless an earthquake sucks the land in like a long noodle. And I usually don't write about myself necessarily, so these were kind of a new experiment of using the I with a modicum of truth in the I. So it was a different experiment. And a lot of the poems are written with words that sort of riff off of the words prior, so you'll hear some of that. My father says the wrong things, I say the wrong things. My father thinks he is 42, not 69. My father was born in 1942. My father thinks his address is 1942. My father sits in a hospital. He thinks he is at 1942. He thinks the year is 1942, that I am 1942 years old, that his knee is 1942. He thinks his name is 1942. He says he is in the hospital because of weight. Or maybe he means wait or lean. Maybe he means he leaned on the toilet he was fixing and fell down. He doesn't know where his nose is, but he knows 1942. When I was 19, I wanted to be a doctor. In a few years, I will be 42, and I will be afraid of doctors. I can no longer think of the right words to say. My words come out of my mouth, twisted, turned in spirals like a dancer wrapping her leg around a pole. On some days, the boss takes our 1942 and turns it into 2491. On other days, she turns it into 1429. And on the worst days, she smiles at us, and her smile looks like a 9 turned on its side, with a cat tongue sticking out. When asked to close his eyes, my father points to the white stack of papers. When asked if his name is Adam, he points to the papers as if to say, ask the papers that stay, that live, don't ask me. He no longer knows that a Chinese man from Taiwan can't possibly be named Adam or Bill or Bob or John or Gus. Maybe he now thinks a Chinese man from Taiwan can be a CEO, can be a boss in America, the kind of boss that others make. Maybe now he thinks his name is Adam. Maybe that is why he named me Victoria. Also in this manuscript are just a bunch of poems that are written off of, they're ekphrastic poems written off of Edward Hopper's paintings. I had written a bunch of Edward Hopper poems in my first book, and for some reason I just keep doing that. So This one's called Edward Hopper's Office at Night. The boss is sitting at the desk. The boss doesn't look at her. The boss is waiting for the black telephone to ring. She also waits for a ring from the boss. He is waiting for the files from her blue dress like a reused file folder around her body, her hands tight around the files. The filing cabinet might eat her, might take her hand off. The boss might eat her. The boss wants her, but the boss wants the money more, just a little more. The boss always seems to want the money a little more. The boss can't hear her. The boss doesn't hear. There are taxis outside waiting for all the women outside across the street. A boss prepares for bed. Another boss above him in apartment X before sex rotates a Q-tip in his ear, even though the instructions state that Q-tips should not be inserted in the ear canal. Can all the brain be needed? We took my father out of the paper, the living will, the letters with their little capes will leave the paper. Who will take care of my children? Who will take care of my father? The will take care of no one. A piece of paper cannot take care of anyone. I can't take care of everyone. On some nights I wake up in a panic and can't figure out whether I'm dead or alive. This year I dye my hair so I don't have to die. Just raise your hand if you're getting sick of these. They're hard to read. Should
we do like my daughter does when they read in poetry? They go, if they approve, they go like this.
They do that now, I noticed.
It's so cute.
I read in high school. Yeah. I'll just read a few more from this manuscript. And in case you didn't notice, this manuscript is called The Boss.
The what?
The Boss, yeah. Which is a symbol for power and control. The boss has a daughter. The boss changes a diaper. The boss tells us she is a successful woman. The boss successes. The boss confesses nothing. The boss messes up. If the boss is a successful woman, then what are we? Are we in trouble? We are trouble. We are her sore. We are sore from leg pressing papers, from leg pressing staples, sour from head messes. The boss has a daughter. The boss has someone to care for. The bus is powered by fuel. The boss is powered by fools. Fools are powered by the sun. We have sons, but they are not old enough to save us. They have no teeth, yet we are powered by something like the sun, the corporation who is powered by the boss. Before the plane went down into the field, someone turned on all the storms in the sky. Before they stormed the cockpit, the bosses saw the cars on the freeway driving to their offices. They waved to the bosses in the cars, but no one saw them, trapped behind the window. Once I taped up a hole of bees, thousands in the dark, dressed in their best yellow and black coats. I cried uncontrollably at night and wore stripes for the MRI. Okay, I'll read me two more from this manuscript. Today, my daughter wants to be a waitress when she grows up. She doesn't know that a waitress is not a boss, that a waitress takes orders from everyone, that a waitress must run to a bell, to the phone, to the customer, to the supervisor who is super bossy and wears a visor with grease on it. Yesterday, my daughter wanted to be a pet doctor. The Barbie book has fuzzy pets, furry pets, cute pets with small noses. The Barbie doesn't show her missing finger from the cute pet that bit it off. The Barbie is not the boss. The dog is the boss. Ken is the boss of the dog who likes the dog in a pink outfit, who likes Barbie in little skirts with little hips. If a perfect woman like Barbie is not the boss, then who can ever be the boss? Even the man in HR, the man who can fire everyone, cannot be the boss because he has a boss who hired him, who can fire him, and even the man who hired the HR man has a boss who can fire him. There are fires all over Japan right now, and water and fire and water, and they both want to be the boss. And all the bosses in Japan lost their jobs, lost their limbs. Bob and Water no longer care about Bob. The boss in America no longer care about cost. And for some reason, when I was writing this manuscript, all the time, these natural disasters were occurring, and that was just one of many. I'll just read one more from here, and then I'll read one more from there, and I'll be done. The boss called us at home. The boss could call us anytime. The boss told us to turn on the television, not to go into work. The boss told us about the planes, the buildings that met each other, wept each other, the people trapped. The boss's voice shook. The boss must have looked familiar, like a mother, like a sister, but the boss wasn't our mother, wasn't our sister. The shoe didn't fit her. She could whimper, did feel sorry for other people, could feel sorry for other people, could vomit sadness. When someone says it's personal, when is it not personal? About the person, about the people. When the planes crashed into the towers, the pilots' bodies met a boss, a CEO. Their bodies pressed together, their power latched together on the 54th floor, hating each other, embracing each other like an accordion. And I should have given you the context, but this manuscript came out of just having a really, well, I'm sure you figured it out, challenging boss. And so it was more of just kind of a feeling of loss of power. And then in the same year, my dad had a stroke, and I have all these young children, and it was just this kind of spiraling of just a loss of power. And so they all sort of collided into a manuscript. And I'll read one more. This poem is, my mom was a math teacher, and I just wanted to do some math in a poem. Proof. They say my great uncle read foreign books in a mud house in Nanking, plowed his 20 acres, listened to rare birds, disregarded the willow's hush. One day he knelt in the street, sign around his neck that said, "Traitor." Little red books spread like wax on his back. Even birds spun their heads around. He labored with peasants, hands turned rough. He must have had eyes like golden orbs. One day he disappeared. I am standing in the dirt in La Jolla, perpendicular to the earth, weeds exploding, rows and rows of berries, clouds that reach and sever. He is hanging from a mud house in Nanking, perpendicular to the earth. Our angles are equal, therefore we are parallel. Then there must be two birds, two shores, two deaths. Thanks.